Hey guys, it's Missy Wolf, and I'm here with Don McLean. How are you today?
Well, I'm fine, thank you. And yourself?
I am doing well, and I'm so excited that I get to talk to you. And over the weekend, I was telling all of my family, and man, I got some jealous looks from some of my family, and so I wanted to tell you that you have a lot of fans, and I honestly didn't know I was going to be getting the stink eye from so many people, but I'm really excited. You've had an amazing career. So what has it been like for you this ride? Because I mean, you started, what, 1963, you dropped out of college and you started
Right.
performing, and I just, what was that decision like? I mean, I don't know that I could have done that.
Well, I didn't think I was worthy of college. I wasn't a very good high school student, and things were a lot simpler back then. I was poor. Um, my mother's family had all gone to college, and she really was insistent that I had to do it,
Right.
and so that was sort of in the back of my head. My father certainly wanted me to go because he never went, and But I left after about 6 months. And the funny thing is that the first school I went to was Villanova University, and I just lasted a semester. But recently, the other day, they asked me to come to the Villanova Holy Cross game as sort of an alumnus, but I'm not, of course. I just was there for 6 months, but it was funny. But so I did went out and when you're young. And in school, a lot of the kids support you and they get very enthusiastic
Mhm.
about each other and what each and the talents they see and so on. And you see so many talented kids in these uh, shows that they do, like Carousel or the Sound of Music, and
Mhm.
some kid will be a wonderful singer, and everybody will get excited for him and everything.
Right.
So, but really, it's just the way they are when they're young, and I sort of thought I was something, because I had done a lot of singing around and playing guitar and banjo and stuff.
Yeah.
And that was the kind of music that was popular. And but I found I had an agent, and but jobs really didn't come very well, and sometimes they didn't work out so well. And
Right.
so I began to realize that I started getting better as the year went by. But then I started realizing, I'm not going to sit around and do nothing.
Mhm.
I got to do something. So I kept my connections with people who I met during that time period.
Right.
But I went back to school. I went to night school first, and then I got into the days. I was a year behind and finished in 1968. And at that time I had established myself at a lot of nightclubs and places around in the summertime. So in '68 I went back into it full time again.
That's really, really fun. And were your parents excited that you decided to go back to school?
Well, my dad had died in 1961, so he didn't know about any of this. But my mother was, glad, and I got a degree in finance and philosophy, believe it or not,
Oh,
from
wow.
Iona. There, so yeah, I I have a bachelor of business administration degree.
That's something I just did not expect to hear. That's really cool. Have you used that degree? Is what I want to know.
Well, I found it handy, because I knew what power of attorney meant, and things
Mhm.
like that in contracts.
Yeah,
And most
absolutely.
most of the contracts, uh, were pretty stacked against the artist. So that led to that, and me wanting to hold on to my songs, my publishing,
Mhm.
um, caused me to be turned down by quite a few record companies when I was first trying to get a record out.
Oh,
But
wow.
I finally did, because I wasn't willing to give up the publishing for the songs
Right.
in case people might not understand that. What that means is that a song, if I write a song and I make a record of it, and the record is a failure, and the record company owns the publishing on the song, well, maybe will be a song that maybe 10 or 15 other people might record.
Mm-hmm.
And so one of those records might become a hit. And if that's the case, the record company will be making the money from the song that they publish. But I wouldn't let them do that. So that when, for example, And I Love You So has been recorded by dozens and dozens of pop stars. And so that would just simply multiply the publishing income that I got. The record company didn't get.
Oh, well, good for you. I definitely think that, I'm hearing a lot of stories from independent artists who have had, things happen to them. And it's just, it makes you really, really question a lot of the music industry. And I think a lot of people are actually going more towards the independent, route now because they want to have more creative control and they want to own their stuff.
It takes so much money to get into show business now. I have no idea how it works. It's a business of spectacle, and of course, a lot of it is, rap and all that stuff that I have nothing to do with and no interest in really. So I'm very fortunate that I got my foot in the door when I did, and that I certainly didn't do as well as some, but I did pretty well.
Well, you've done really well. I mean, American Pie, that song is in the top 5 of what? I mean, it's just songs of the 20th century. It's huge. That song, everybody knows that song. Everyone.
That's true.
Everyone, every age, everyone knows that song, and that's a huge, huge, huge achievement in and of itself, I think. And I mean, you've done so many, great things, and okay, your Facebook following and your Twitter following too. You have pretty big numbers, which is great because that's just insane. Not everybody can say they have those numbers. So I mean, unless you're Taylor Swift.
Well, it's amazing. I mean, one of the things that I'm doing now is we seem to have a record deal, we think, with BMG for a new album I have, and maybe another one after that. And I'm embracing the whole Facebook, Twitter thing, and have a very good public relations firm that's doing that and making that much more effective in terms of setting out the shows that I do and getting the word out about stuff. So that's one of the decisions I've made in terms of trying to move into the modern times.
I know, and it's funny that you say that because I've been reluctant on so many things, and I finally last year was like, okay, I'll do this Twitter thing, But it's definitely opened up a lot of doors for a lot of artists. So that move, I think.
I think that Ed Sheeran has something like 20 million people that follow him, or contact. I don't know what the word is, but
it is.
Marketing is so important. I've never been very good at that. I was good at making sure I got paid, but I wasn't great at finding ways to sell records. I figured that was the record company's job.
Right. So
it really is, and it's the artist's job now.
Yeah, absolutely. And I mean, the fans too, they really do. They love it when, the artist, and I hear it from fans all the time, when an artist will retweet something that they've tweeted to them on Twitter, or they comment to them on Facebook, or whatever it is, those fans just light up. It's like the greatest day for them. And there was one fan a while back who had won a contest, and the response she got from the artist, just made her whole day. And she had been suffering with depression and these horrible thoughts. And that one act just turned her entire day around and brought her out of this, depressed mood that she had been in. So, you never know what you can do for somebody. And I think
it is a responsibility when you have, quote, fans, unquote. And I don't think a lot of artists realize in some cases how much the artist means to somebody. Right. For example, I've had many, many experiences with people who are having difficulties who would reach out to me or tell me a story about how a song of mine or a concert they saw or an album they bought or something change their life and or help them. And like one lady wrote me a letter and she said that her daughter was anorexic, and if I was to tell her to eat, that she would.
Oh, wow.
And so I did. I wrote her a letter. I said, you have to eat and take care of yourself. And then a year or two later, I was back there and it was in a foreign country, and she introduced me to her daughter who was recovered.
Wow.
And I had, you know, a lot of things like that. So you have to be careful what you say and do.
Right.
But you also can't let, there are some people out there who call themselves fans who aren't, and you can't let them get away with philosophy too, you know, who really, they're not your fans. So, you know.
Right. Yeah, and I definitely think, you know, you're right on the money with that too. I mean, not everybody has great intentions, but the way that you are and the way that you handle, you know, your fans and the way you treat them, it is huge. And you know, you do have to be, you know, careful with your own, you know, personal views and things that you say and do yourself as well for those
You do.
you know, but
you can do a lot for people, and I've heard thousands of stories that have been very gratifying through the years, directly to me and by mail or when I was signing an autograph or something. So it's something that made me very happy that I did what I did with my life.
Absolutely, and honestly, that story too that you just said, I mean, that's got to sit just really high up there on your list of, you know, proud moments as an artist, because to me, something like that, knowing that somebody's recovered, and whether it was your words or your words in combination, you know, with something else, it doesn't matter. You had a part in that girl's recovery, and to me, that would mean a little bit more than than an award that you've earned. You know what I mean? Like, just that's a life. That's incredible. So I'm gonna.
Well, I really do like people, and I like helping people, and I like being good to people, and so I've always been very touched by so many stories that I have heard, all kinds.
Yeah, that's awesome. And you're, my God, you've told so many stories through your music, and you've earned so many things because of it. And you know, where do you come up with all of your inspiration for your songs? Number one, is it all personal, or you know, do you just think of awesome things at the same time?
Well, I try to. I have a sort of a knack for knowing what I think would make a good song that's different from any other one that I heard. You know, I don't try to write songs like anybody else, and I don't try to repeat myself. So I try to, you know, write a really unique song each time that I do it. And so a song like Cradle, for example, is different from Vincent, which is different from Wonderful Baby, which is different from American Pie. They're all different.
Right.
And they all have different melody types and styles and different lyric styles. And so I don't really have an identifiable, but I do have a sound that's identifiable, but I don't have a writing style that I would say is identifiable, like a James Taylor, let's say, or someone like that.
Right. Well, and that's good. And that's what sets you apart from so many. And you said you were working on. Do you already have the album done? I know you're working on something with BMG, but
no, it's all done, and I've got a follow-up one of songs that I didn't write called "The Still Playing Favorites," which is a takeoff on an album that I made in the '70s called "Playing Favorites."
Nice.
And it's just a lot of rock and roll songs that we did, you know, that kind of thing. Songs that we do in the show from time to time, put them all in one place.
Right.
And I actually recorded like 23 sides, but I only used 14 in the album, so another 10 that I could use for stuff, you know, wild tracks and things.
Right. That's what I was going to ask. Like, what, you know, I hear it all the time from different people. Sometimes they have a really hard time picking which ones go on the album. Did you have a hard time with that, or no?
You know what? Sometimes a song will turn out better than you thought it would, and sometimes a song you had a lot of hopes for will not turn out as well. And you might try re-recording it, and that helps a lot of times. For example, if you listen to, just an example would be Buddy Holly. If you listen to the first attempt that he made to record "That'll Be Today," uh, and then he went again to Clovis, New Mexico with Norman Petty, and then they really nailed "That'll Be Today." But the first time doesn't work at all. So it's very tricky. It's very tricky. This is why someone like George Martin or a good producer is so very important in terms of getting that consistency or finding that, getting that magic into a track. I mean, and a lot of artists, even Elvis Presley, who had so many hits, really recorded a lot of awful songs and made a lot of records that weren't, that you wouldn't want to hear, even on the same albums that had great hits. Because every now and then, then he'd score with, a blue suede shoes, they're all shipped up or something, but he'd do something else that, wasn't very good. And, a lot of them are inconsistent, but when they're great, they're so great that, it just blows away the stuff that didn't really matter that much.
Definitely, yeah. Well, that's interesting to hear and to think about too, because I'm pretty sure any of us could go back to any one of our favorite artists and look at an album that we love, and there's always going to be that one song that you didn't really care for. But if everything else is great, that's what you.
Yeah, I mean it's just catching magic in a bottle, really. It's very exciting making records, especially when you're young and you become you have the opportunity of making hit records. I had the experience of having several records, many records actually, in the top 10, and a few that were number one. And during the time when there were only like a few radio stations in New York that played the top 10, there were like 3. And so now there's like 500 stations, Sirius Radio, and all this stuff. I mean, I don't even know what a chart is. I don't know what's on the chart. I don't know nothing.
I know.
I have no idea what's going on. There's so much stuff.
I know. I know they have specific artist channels, which, okay, if you're a fan of somebody and it's really easy and that's all you want to listen to, it's great. But it blows my mind all the time because, music is so different now than it was. Like, it's everywhere.
It's going to just multiply.
Yeah.
I think this is just the beginning. There's going to be so much stuff. And once they start getting these people to start paying like they should be,
right?
And again, that's kind of what I'm good at. Once they start getting people to pay, and it starts multiplying, people that have classic songs or classic albums or something like that, it's going to be really quite a windfall because there are going to be so many sites where you can hear this stuff. And another thing that's happened is this vinyl revolution.
I was just going to say that. Yeah. Crazy.
Yeah. American Pie has just come out in vinyl, and it's everywhere. It's at Barnes and Noble, and it's at Urban Outfitters, and it's all over the place.
Yeah, that's so cool. I love it. I just did an interview with a girl the other day. This is her 4th album that she's just released, and it's her first one that she's releasing on vinyl, and she is so excited. The sound is so different on vinyl than it is on CD. And
you'll always be able to get some version of the song out of the vinyl too. You're not going to CD crashes, and you don't get anything.
Right.
It doesn't work.
Yeah.
And with an album, at least, I have albums that go back, for decades, a couple thousand albums, and I was encouraged to get rid of those, and I said, "Are you kidding me?" So I took them, I had made them an area for these records. So every now and then, I know that there's an album there. A lot of those albums did not make it onto CD. So there's songs that I know that I might want to find to record that I can only find them in my collection.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. Well, I can't thank you enough for talking to me. I'm so excited that I actually got to speak with you today, and thank you for taking the time and accommodating, my schedule as well. And is there anything else that you want to tell fans though before we go? I know I've kept you on the phone for 20 minutes now. I feel bad. But is there anything you want to tell anybody before we go?
Well, I just think that the future's bright for America, and I think we're going to see a lot of interesting things happen. And I think that one thing I think would be good for people that are interested in music is that there's a world of artists, music out there
Hmm.
from the past that's very easily accessible, on YouTube and Google and whatever. You can um, really enhance your knowledge of music and your enjoyment of it by going backwards, I think, rather than forwards. And I think a lot of kids, are looking to artists such as myself, certainly, and before me, and they're finding that it's pleasurable. So I think that's one of the nice things that's happened.
Absolutely, absolutely. I think you're dead on with that, and I definitely think that the younger generations now are going back. Even I'm Johnny Cash is huge, and I have a 12-year-old daughter who's so into Johnny Cash right now. And when I was younger, I was into him, but I had no idea my daughter was going to be. So you are seeing a lot of that with the younger generation. And
Well, stuff is timeless. It's timeless. It's
yeah,
timeless, and it will overcome a lot of what you have now is not any good. It's just manufactured
yeah,
and it's jammed down people's throats because it's so much money is put behind it. But
exactly.
after the money dries up, nobody wants to hear this stuff anymore. I mean, you really don't see best ofs like from the '90s, on
Right,
TV
right.
or the 2000s. You don't see it
Yeah,
because nobody wants to hear that stuff anymore.
yeah,
You see best ofs from the '60s, the '70s, maybe the '80s, and then it stops.
yeah. You're right. You're right. You're definitely right. And it got to the point where I think too. My dad used to say all the time, every song sounds the same. He would get so mad listening to the radio with me in the '90s.
I know,
He
I
hated it.
know.
He absolutely hated
And the
it.
and the country thing is just as bad. I mean, it's all this same. The country music was so full of interesting ideas and songs
Hmm.
and the writers and everything, right up through the '80s. And video, killed the radio star, as one of those songs said,
Yeah.
in a sense, because you know lyrics are very important, and that's why I'm amazed that Vincent and Castles in the Air and songs like this are still songs that people love because there are lyrics there and
Right.
ideas, and they're not that complicated, but they're at least not the same phrase over and over again.
Exactly. And that's one of the things that just the repetitive stuff. Oh my, I cannot stand it. And there are certain songs, I'm not going to say what they are, but there are certain songs that when I hear them come on the radio, I just have to shut it off. I just switch the station. I'm like, you know what? It's just crap. It's crap with some music behind it, and I just can't handle it. So,
The thing about it is when you're my age, everybody says, well, you're just old, you don't know anything, and I tell them, listen, when I was young, if I heard this stuff, I wouldn't like it.
right? Exactly. Exactly. Oh my gosh. Well, again, thank you so much. I really enjoyed talking to you today.
All right, very good.
And if you're ever in Nashville after the first of the year and you'd like to come on camera with us, I will be in Nashville officially after the first of the year. So, it'd be a lot of fun. We'd love to get you on camera. Maybe you can.
Well, you know where Webster is. They represent me. We can always, anything is possible.
Absolutely. All right. Well, I'm going to keep that in mind. I'm
All right.
definitely gonna reach out to them on that. But thank you again for everything.
All
I
right.
appreciate it, and you have yourself a wonderful day.
You have a nice holiday too, okay?
Thank you.
All right.
Bye bye.
Bye bye.